Hey, ready for the review of my personal statement? I'll read it in 4 sections, and I'll share Shannon's feedback after each section. Hopefully you'll learn something that will apply to your personal statement too. Thanks for watching, and if you find this valuable, remember to like and subscribe. Okay, here we go.
When I was little, a pencil and paintbrush were extensions of my fingers. I couldn't say my ABCs or count to 23, but with a box of crayons, 1,000 words were at my fingertips. In kindergarten, my teachers couldn't stop me from doodling sloppy circles and smiley faces all over my notes. Until one day, there was finally a subject that put my hobbies and talents to use. Science. I loved science because it was fascinating, constantly changing, and allowed me to expand my mind further than my imagination. Each science class brought a new world of knowledge, excitement, and change. As Galapagos turtles and finches were adapting in my head, my artwork was evolving as well. Erase, focus, sketch. Erase, focus, sketch. A discipline that became ingrained in me. Over time, with enough practice and patience, those smiley faces transformed into soccer balls and sunflowers. It wasn't until I attended an event at my sister's medical school called A Day in the Life of a Medical Student that I was finally able to unite my interests. Unlike most people who turned away from the sight of exposed organs or pinched their nose from the stench of formaldehyde, I perused the bodily exhibits too excited to feel disturbed or nauseous. I performed my first surgery on a pig's foot, ensuring the sutures perfect distances apart, resembling the laces of a football. From that day on, I was hooked. I left knowing that I would pursue a career in medicine. At home, those sunflower sketches started sprouting into cell cycles and circulatory systems.
I felt really encouraged when Shannon said my personal statement was off to a great start. She liked the short paragraphs because no one wants to open a document and see a daunting wall of text. She also said it's refreshing when an applicant is well-rounded, and I demonstrated this by leading with my interest in art. This helps me stand out in the sea of applicants, but of course, this approach only works because later on in my essay, I also clearly demonstrate that I'm passionate about medicine. There were a couple of minor typos, but Shannon caught them, so that was easy to fix. In this context, overtime should be 2 words, and sight should be spelled S-I-G-H-T. Okay, I'll keep reading now. My education and experiences at West Virginia University solidified my path to becoming a physician assistant. I studied a variety of subjects, such as epigenetics, ecology, evolution, virology, microbiology, and comparative anatomy. I was prompted to think in ways I never had before. Instead of giving up when I failed, I looked for new approaches and remained resilient. When I reattempted organic chemistry, I flipped, expanded, and reduced carbon rings all over the page until a solution was met. To my surprise, I found that I loved tutoring my classmates. Whether it was drawing the virus life cycle step by step on a whiteboard, or making a video tutorial of an anatomy dissection from start to finish, teaching through art became my new passion. Shifting among a wide array of talents, interests, and studies, my versatility is similar to physician assistants who have the ability to transfer their knowledge and skills from one specialty to another. With my experience at WVU, I can take a problem, flip it, expand it, and reduce it until I reach an innovative solution that doctors and patients expect from their physician assistants. For this part, Shannon said she especially liked that I mentioned how I enjoyed tutoring my classmates. This indicates that I would be a great addition to the cohort because it suggests I'll be the kind of classmate who will organize study groups that will help everyone succeed in PA school. In terms of minor corrections, I should have written the abbreviation WVU in parentheses after West Virginia University, since I used this abbreviation later on in the paragraph. Now, back to the essay.
Han Medical Practices was where I met the Michelangelos and Da Vincis of dermatology. My experience there has afforded me the opportunity to shadow these outstanding artists, surgical physician assistants. In one particular instance of a Mohs surgery, I remember entering a room, startled to find a patient with no skin on the majority of her left cheek and half of her nose. Calm and collected, the PA carefully prepared and drew out the skin flap on her forehead to replace the cancer-ridden skin. When the PA asked me to assist her, I jumped at the chance, both intrigued and ready for whatever would happen next. I assisted the PA as she cut the skin flap in the correct shape, twisted the flap over the nose, and secured it with interrupted stitches. When the patient came back a month later, she was cancer-free and looking better than ever. The patient's turnout was not only the result of the PA's amazing suturing ability, but also because of her warm, personable, reassuring attitude towards the patients, personality traits I both admired and to which I could relate. Looking back, compared to the PA stitches, the pig I sutured years ago looked more like I had butchered the pig's foot. Ever since that day, I've yearned to transform that butchered foot into football laces, just like how my sloppy circles evolved into cell cycles and circulatory systems.
Here, Shannon said I did a great job tying everything together. She especially liked my reflection about how, in retrospect, my initial attempt at suturing the pig's foot actually looked more like I'd butchered it. This is relatable because PAs have all been there. They were students once too, and it demonstrates both humility and a growth mindset. Okay, here's the last paragraph. Being a surgical physician assistant is like being a sculptor, except instead of clay, marble, or granite, the medium is skin, human flesh, and tissue. The piece of art is not just some sculpture sitting in a museum. It's a walking, talking, living, breathing human being. My patients would benefit from my situational awareness, my interest in a multitude of subjects, my compassion to teach, my attention to detail, and my steady hands that were once used for painting. In the future, my goal is to add a scalpel and needle driver to my toolkit so I can truly make an impact on my patients' lives through art. I believe I embody what Albert Einstein meant when he said, "The greatest scientists are artists as well." Even though Shannon said my personal statement was really good overall, she gave me a heads up that I should make sure it's aligned with the mission of the PA programs I'm applying to. Since I said I want to be a surgical PA, this essay would go over well at a PA program like the University of Alabama at Birmingham, which has a strong emphasis on the surgical component of their curriculum. However, many PA programs focus more on primary care, and in that case, they might not consider my desire to be a surgical PA a good mission fit.